Hey guys, this is Mitch from BoardCo. I'm going to be breaking down different wake surfboard styles so that you can know what might be the best one for you. All right, so I wanted to cover a few different things in this video, talking about different styles of wake surfboards, how they're going to ride, what the differences are, and why you might want to pick one or the other, or honestly really ride multiple styles because they're going to be so different. Now, when we're talking about wake surfboard styles, first thing I want to hit on is why, what the different styles are, and then why you would want any one of them, and then some of the different characteristics that you can expect between the different styles of boards. Now, there's three different styles of wake surfboards. There's what we refer to as surf style, skim style, and then the third one is the hybrid style boards, which is a blend between the two. Now, the board I've got right in front of me here, this is a surf style wake surfboard. And I'll tell you a few of the characteristics of these boards. Now, these are all general characteristics. There's gonna be different boards that will blend different areas or cross the line into different skim characteristics and that. These are gonna be general characteristics between different wake surf style boards and how they're gonna ride and how it's gonna perform when it's under your feet when you're behind the boat. So this right here is a surf style board. This is a Soulcraft Keenan Flegel Surf Series, Keenan Flegel's Pro Model boards. This is one of my favorite surf style boards that's out right now. It is a blast to ride. And here's a few of the things about it. So the most obvious characteristic of a true surf style board is going to be the fins. So they typically have larger fins, meaning that they have these big curved fins that are fairly deep. These ones are like 3.5-inch deep fins, and they can go anywhere from 2 inches to up to like 4.5, 5 inches long. But the main characteristic with a surf style board is that it's gonna derive a lot of the control and a lot of the power and drive of the board from the fins themselves. Now, when I say drive, what that means is that it's the ability of the board to go the direction that you want it to go when you turn it. In other words, when you're riding on the board on the wave, with a surf style board, if you roll the board over to the right, the board is going to want to grab and go to the right. Same thing when you swing it over to the left, it's going to want to grab and go to the left. Because of these big deep fins, the board is going to want to track, meaning that it's going to want to really ride almost like it's on rails moving from side to side, instead of sliding or skimming across the water. So this is gonna ride a lot like an ocean surf style board or a typical ocean surfboard. And there's a few different things about them that are nice to point out. So in addition to just the fins, generally the boards are a little bit thicker. They have a little more volume. They are going to ride a little higher up in the water because they're thicker and have more volume. They're also going to, generally speaking, they're going to be a little less responsive than a skim style board, which I'm going to talk about in just a second. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not responsive. They can be a super responsive board. But really what they're designed for is these boards are best for carving and maneuvering because it's going to feel like it's riding on rails the whole time. It's going to be great for carving, maneuvering, doing bottom turns, snapping at the top of the wave. They're also going to be great for airs. So if you're wanting to air off the top of the wave, you use the power of the board moving across and the fins to drive up the pace of the wave, go up into the air, and do whatever you want to do up there and then come back down. So that's a few of the different characteristics of how a surf style board is going to ride. There's a lot of different other little things, like normally the rail is a little more rounded. They're generally thicker. They're made a little differently, have different construction processes. But the most important things are the fins, the way that the board is just going to handle and ride in the water, and the shape of the board. That's what's going to determine that it's a surf style board, just based on those characteristics. Now, there's things that these boards are generally not quite as good at. So if you're wanting to do like 360 spins on the water, you can still do them on a surf style board, but it's generally a little easier to do it on like a skim style board. So this right there, surf style board that I covered there. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the polar opposite end of the spectrum, which is a skim style board. So this board right here, this is a Phase 5 Hammerhead Limited Drew Daniello's Pro Model board. And this one, it looks very different than the other board that I just had, than the surf style board. Meaning, a few different characteristics. First off, generally speaking with skim style boards, the first point is they generally have a much smaller fin shape. Now you can have a little bit longer one than this one, but you don't have the big deep fins and multiple ones that are gonna guide and control the flow of water as you're moving. It's really a fin that's, the main point of a fin on a skim style board is just to give you a little bit of stability and a little bit of traction. It's gonna make it so it's not so slippery on the water. So that's the main point of it. It doesn't derive power or drive or extra performance with the fin. In fact, on the upper end levels of skim style riding, a lot of the different professional riders will actually ride with no fin at all so that they can freely spin and maneuver the board on the water. But that's the main difference. A skim style board is going to slide and skate on the water a little bit more, or not a little bit, a lot more so than a surf style board. A few other different characteristics of a skim style board. Generally speaking, they're a lot thinner. You see how the profile of this is a lot thinner than the surf style board. They're typically constructed out of different materials. They're stiffer. Because the whole point of a skim style board is all about speed. The last thing is they typically have a really flat rocker line, meaning that it doesn't have much curvature or bowing to the board, it's really flat. The reason for those different characteristics is to make the board really fast on the water so that it will keep up with a wave and you're not having to pump and move because you're not deriving power from those fins. You're using and controlling the board and deriving power from the edges of the board instead of by the fins themselves. Now, once again, there's different characteristics to every single board, but for the most part, most skim style boards are gonna slide and maneuver more freely. They're gonna be ideal for doing spin maneuvers. They're gonna be ideal for sliding on the top of the wave. So if you're gonna wanna come and do like a side slide or a board slide on the top of the wave, they're gonna be better for shove it maneuvers. A shove it is when you jump up and kick the board and have it spin around under your feet and then you land on it. As well as it's just better for overall maneuverability. They're a little bit, they're typically a little more maneuverable and can be controlled a little easier than a surf style board, though there are variations depending on individual board models themselves. Now, so these two board designs are very different. In fact, they're so different that in competition levels, when you're competing in tournaments, they're actually two different divisions in competition because the tricks they're doing, the moves they're performing on the boards are so radically different from one another. Skim style board, they're gonna be spinning a lot. They're gonna be maneuvering the board under their feet, as well as just sliding, maneuvering on top. Like a common trick in competition on a skim style board is a 720 or a 1080 where you're just spinning on top of the water. You can do a 720 on a surf style board, but it's not only a more difficult move, it's a totally different move. It's performed differently because you need to break the fins free as opposed to just sliding around on top of the water. So they're different, they're such different feels that a lot of times I will recommend, especially when you get better, to get one of each style of board. I personally ride the surf style board most often, but I'll ride a skim style board quite a bit because it's so different from a surf style board. It's almost like a different activity behind the boat. It's really a blast to ride. Now, if you're just getting started and you're not sure if you're gonna wanna ride a skim style or a surf style, one of the great options you can go with is what they call as a hybrid shape. Now, this one right here, this is a Hyperlite broadcast. This is one of our most popular boards that we sell. And it follows almost all the characteristics that you would expect or want out of a hybrid style design. Now, the thing about a hybrid that's important to note is it's a blend of everything I talked about with a surf style and everything I talked about with a skim style. That doesn't mean it's the best at everything. In fact, it actually means that it's okay at everything. It's not gonna have the drive and the power and force that you can generate on a surf style board. It's not gonna be as fast and it's not going to be as maneuverable and easy to spin and move around as a skim style board. It's gonna kind of be a blend of everything. It's gonna be a board you can do a lot of different things on, but it's a board that's okay at everything, but a master of nothing. So a few different things. This one, the broadcast, you see that when we go to the fin configuration, it's got multiple fins. So we've got 3 fins, but they're kind of different. They're not big, deep fins like a surf style, but they're also not the really long, low profile fins that you have on a skim style board. They're kind of a blend. And this is because these fins will give you traction and control, but they're not designed to give you drive. They're just designed to give you a little bit of additional traction. Also, the rail profile, you see it's a little bit more rounded, but it's not as round as a surf style, but it's not as sharp as a skim style. It's also going to have a relatively flat rocker line, but probably not as flat as a high-end Skim style, but not as rounded as a high-end surf style. It's also going to be offered in a blend of different construction methods. We're not as concerned about super high-end carbon fiber design as we are in a Skim style, though there are exceptions. Nor are we going with an EPS foam design, which we talk about in a different video about surfboard construction. Generally speaking, hybrid style boards are kind of a blend of everything. So there's a lot of reasons that you probably want a hybrid shape on your boat. This is a board that you're going to use regularly. It's a great board to start out with, to learn to ride, to teach people with. As you progress and get better, or the people in your boat progress and get better, you'll probably want to upgrade to a higher end surf style board, a higher end Skim style board, or maybe one of each, because they're going to ride so differently from one another. But this board right here, the hybrid shape, is one you're going to always keep in your boat. If you have a high-end surf, a high-end Skim, and a hybrid board, chances are your boat is going to use all three of those boards regularly, because you're always going to be teaching people, you're always going to have new people out on the boat. You're also going to be able to want to change between disciplines and go from riding a surf style board to going and changing over and riding a Skim style board for a fresh new experience. It's something I do regularly, even though, like I said, I ride a surf style board most often. I jump on a skimmer from time to time, and even jump on a hybrid board and have a blast and get a little different style. That's one of the great things about wake surfing, is just by simply changing the board you're on, you can radically change your entire experience behind the boat. Hope this has been really helpful. If you got any questions, reach out to us at BoardCo. Check out boardco.com for the full selection of wake surf boards that are available. Let us know how we can help, and we'll talk to you soon. Hey, thanks for checking out this video. If you want to check out more videos like we have, click the subscribe button below and check out the other videos on our channel. We really love the opportunity to be able to share our knowledge and our love of water sports and all the stuff we have going on with you guys. So if you give us a thumbs up, click the bell, click subscribe, and everything else, we would appreciate it a ton, and we can keep you informed. Thanks a ton. We'll see you later.